Have you ever noticed how many men over 50 unknowingly make a simple but costly mistake in their relationships, one that slowly pushes the woman they love further away? Or wondered why some men seem to maintain that emotional spark, while others feel disconnected and unsure of how to bring the closeness back? There's an often overlooked truth about lasting love. A truth so impactful, it has the potential to revive the intimacy in your relationship, even if things feel distant or stalled right now. Contrary to popular belief, love doesn't thrive on fancy dinners or luxurious gifts. What really matters runs far deeper, something subtle yet essential that many men fail to realize over time. And when it's missing, relationships tend to slip into routine and lose that sense of romantic connection. Keep reading until the end, because what you're about to discover isn't just typical relationship advice. It's a game-changing insight that could completely reshape your love life. Whether you're navigating a long-term marriage or exploring love in your later years, this perspective can help you forge stronger emotional bonds with the woman you truly care about. If you've ever felt like the emotional connection with your partner has faded, this message will help you understand the reason and what you can do to change it. If this message is speaking to you, drop a #1 in the comments so I know you're still with me. Let's begin. In a secluded village, nestled between towering mountains and rivers that whisper forgotten stories, lived Grandma Amalia, a woman whose knowledge of love had healed countless hearts. People from distant lands sought her counsel, hoping to uncover the secrets of intimacy and connection. One day, a young woman named Clara set out on a journey to find her. With questions pressing on her heart and uncertainty clouding her mind, she traveled across valleys and bridges, driven by a relentless yearning to understand love's deepest truths. Her thoughts were filled with doubts. Was love supposed to change over time? Was intimacy meant to fade, or was there a way to keep it alive, even after years together? She needed answers, and she had heard that Grandma Amalia was the only one who could provide them. The path was long, winding through quiet forests and across old stone bridges, where the water below flowed as steadily as time itself. Each step she took carried the weight of unspoken worries, memories of love lost and love misunderstood. She thought about the couples she had seen, some who still held hands after decades together, others who sat in silence, disconnected and distant. What made the difference? Was it luck? Or was there something more? When Clara arrived, she was welcomed by the warmth of a crackling fire in Grandma Amalia's modest yet inviting cottage. The elder woman, with eyes that held the wisdom of lifetimes, motioned for her to sit. The scent of dried herbs filled the air, and the gentle flicker of candlelight cast dancing shadows on the walls. Clara felt an immediate sense of comfort, as if she had stepped into a place where answers had always existed, waiting to be discovered. Grandma Amalia studied Clara with a quiet smile, as if she already knew the questions before they had even been spoken. "You've come a long way, child," she said gently. "Tell me, what is it that troubles your heart?" After a moment of silence, Clara took a deep breath and asked, "Grandma Amalia, is it wrong to desire more intimacy in marriage, even in ways society doesn't openly talk about?" A knowing smile graced the elder's lips. She studied Clara. For a moment before responding, her voice as soothing as the fire's glow. "My dear, love is not bound by the rigid expectations of the world. True intimacy is not about obligation, nor is it a mere act. It is a sacred exchange, a language of the soul woven with trust, passion, and understanding." She leaned forward slightly, her eyes filled with the wisdom of decades. Too often people mistake intimacy for a routine, something to be checked off a list. But real intimacy, the kind that keeps love alive, is not about following rules. It's about connection, about truly seeing and being seen. Clara listened intently, her hands folded in her lap, But what if one partner desires more than the other? What if fear or hesitation holds them back? Grandma Amalia nodded knowingly. That is where the beauty of love lies, my dear. It's not about demanding or expecting, it's about understanding. A relationship thrives when both partners feel safe enough to express their needs, their fears, and their desires without shame. When a man and a woman are emotionally open with each other, intimacy deepens in ways that go beyond the physical. She took a sip of her tea and continued. Many couples fall into the trap of assuming they already know everything about each other. But true intimacy isn't about knowing, it's about discovering. Every touch, every conversation, every moment shared is an opportunity to explore deeper layers of love. Clara absorbed the words, realizing that perhaps the struggles in relationships didn't come from a lack of love, but from a lack of curiosity. She thought about the way couples drift apart, not because they stop loving each other, but because they stop exploring, stop asking, stop listening. Grandma Amalia placed a gentle hand on Clara's. Intimacy is not just about the body, it is about the mind, the heart, the soul. If a couple stops growing together, the bond weakens. But if they continue to nurture each other's desires, to communicate openly, to embrace both the familiar and the unknown, then love will never feel stagnant. It will always be alive. Clara felt something shift inside her. She had come seeking answers, but what she found was an entirely new way of looking at love. It wasn't about what was right or wrong. It was about whether she and her future partner were willing to keep discovering each other, no matter how many years had passed. Grandma Amalia paused, studying Clara's face. There's a lie that people have been told about love. They say passion naturally fades with time. But that's not true. Passion doesn't fade. It changes. And those who understand this keep the flame alive. She leaned back, her gaze steady. Love in your 50s, 60s, and beyond is different than it was in your 20s. But different doesn't mean worse. In fact, it can be deeper, richer, more fulfilling if you know how to nurture it. The biggest mistake men make, she continued, is assuming that what worked before will work forever. A woman's needs evolve, just as a man's do, and if you're not paying attention, if you're not learning, then one day you'll wake up and wonder where the connection went. The secret to lasting attraction isn't found in expensive gifts or extravagant trips. It's found in emotional connection. A woman doesn't crave a man's presence just because of how he looks or how successful he is. She craves him because of how he makes her feel. She wants to feel seen, understood, appreciated, not just for what she does, but for who she is. And when a man over 50 continues to nurture his partner's heart, not just her body, intimacy thrives. It's not about youth, Grandma Amalia said with a soft smile. It's about presence. It's about looking at your partner and truly seeing them as if, for the first time. It's about listening to the words they don't say, about holding them in a way that makes them feel cherished, not just out of habit, but out of love. Clara thought about the couples she had known. Some still laughed together, still held hands in the grocery store, still whispered to each other when they thought no one was watching. Others had drifted into silence, more like roommates than lovers. The difference wasn't time, it was effort. It was the willingness to keep the connection alive even when life got busy, even when routines took over. So, Clara asked, what can a man do to keep that connection strong? Grandma Amalia's eyes sparkled. He can start by being present, by making her feel like she is the most important person in the room, by never assuming he already knows everything about her, but instead continuing to learn her every single day. Grandma Amalia sighed gently before speaking. The biggest mistake men make in long-term relationships, she said, is assuming their partner feels loved just because they've been together for years. Love isn't automatic. It's something You choose every single day." She set her teacup down and continued. "Men take their partners for granted without realizing it. They stop doing the little things that once made her smile. They let life get in the way of romance. They listen, but only halfway, and slowly, without meaning to, they let the emotional distance grow." She shook her head. "But love isn't about grand gestures. It's about presence. The strongest intimacy isn't built in the bedroom. It's built in the way you show up every day. It's in the way you laugh together, in the small secrets you share, in the trust that says, 'I know you and I still choose you.'" She looked Clara in the eye. "Women's desires shift as they age. They want emotional security over fleeting passion. They need to feel seen, heard, and valued, not just in words, but in action. They long for deep companionship, the kind that feels like home." Clara nodded, understanding now that intimacy wasn't about chasing youth. It was about deepening love. And that, she realized, was something a man could do at any age if he truly wanted to keep the connection alive. Sipping her tea, the elder shared a story from her youth. "There was once a woman, Maria, who came to me, weary and uncertain. She spoke of her husband, Juan, and how the flame of their love had dimmed over time. They had drifted apart, tangled, in the mundane, afraid to explore beyond what was familiar." Clara leaned in, listening closely. She had seen this happen to couples she knew. Love that once burned brightly, now reduced to routine conversations about bills, errands, and responsibilities. It wasn't that Maria and Juan didn't love each other, it was that they had forgotten how to show it. I told her, "Maria, love is a dance, not a duty. It is not meant to be rehearsed and predictable. It thrives in spontaneity, in whispers of curiosity, in the courage to explore not just each other's bodies, but each other's souls." Maria hesitated at first. She had spent so many years believing that love simply faded with time. That passion was for the young, and that comfort was the best she could hope for now. But deep down, she longed for more. She longed for the days when Juan would look at her like she was the only woman in the world, when their conversations felt effortless, when intimacy wasn't just a routine, but something alive, something exciting. With newfound resolve, Maria returned home. But instead of waiting for Juan to change, she decided to change first. That night, instead of asking him about work or their bills, she asked him about his dreams. Instead of simply hugging him goodnight, she held him a little longer, just like she used to. At first, Juan didn't seem to notice. He was used to their routine, their quiet coexistence. But as the days passed, something shifted. He started opening up again, telling her things he hadn't shared in years. He started reaching for her hand when they walked, surprising her with small gestures of affection, laughing at things they had long stopped finding funny. Their love, once burdened by unspoken fears, flourished anew, because they chose understanding over silence, intimacy over routine, because Maria realized that love wasn't something you wait for, it's something you create every single day. Clara sat back, letting the story sink in. She had come to Grandma Amalia expecting simple answers, but she was beginning to realize that love was never simple. It wasn't about waiting for the right moment or hoping things would fix themselves. It was about choosing to show up, to try, to keep rediscovering each other no matter how many. Years had passed. Grandma Amalia gave Clara a knowing look. Love, my dear, is not lost with time. It only disappears when we stop looking for it. Grandma Amalia's voice softened as she spoke her final lesson, the one that Clara knew she would carry with her for the rest of her life. Love is not a routine. It's a masterpiece, but only if you dare to paint it every day. She gestured toward the fire, where embers glowed beneath the wood. Passion is like this flame. If you tend to it, if you give it air, warmth, and fuel, it will burn for a lifetime. But if you neglect it, If you assume it will stay lit on its own, eventually it fades. Clara nodded, letting the words sink in. How many couples let their fire die out, not because they stopped loving each other, but because they stopped choosing each other. They let the weight of responsibilities, stress, and routine take over, leaving no space for the curiosity, excitement, and appreciation that once brought them together. Attraction is not about youth, it's about energy. Grandma Amalia continued. It's about how you make someone feel in your presence. A woman doesn't fall in love with a man because of how he looks, but because of how he makes her feel. If a man understands this, he will never lose her. She let the words hang in the air for a moment before adding, when a man over 50 looks at his wife with the same admiration he once did, when he listens to her as if she's the most important person in the world, she feels it. When he values her mind, her laughter, her thoughts, she responds. Love isn't just about attraction. It's about making each other feel wanted, needed, and cherished. Clara sat in deep thought. She had always believed that love was something that just happened, that people were either lucky or unlucky in love. But now she saw the truth. Love was a choice, a series of small, intentional actions taken every single day, and the couples who stayed in love, they weren't just lucky. They were willing to keep rediscovering each other, to keep choosing love even when life got busy or difficult. Grandma Amalia reached for Clara's hand, giving it a gentle squeeze. Never stop seeing your partner. Never stop learning them, because love, my dear, is not lost with time. It only disappears when we stop looking for it. Clara felt a warmth spread through her chest, not just from the fire, but from the realization that she had found exactly what she was looking for. She had come seeking answers, but she was leaving with something even greater. The knowledge that love, true love, was in her hands. It was hers to create, to nurture, to protect, and for the first time in a long time, she felt hopeful. Grandma Amalia looked at Clara one last time, her expression filled with warmth and certainty. It's never too late to revive passion, it's never too late to understand your partner, and it's never too late to fall in love all over again. She let those words settle between them, knowing that love at any age is not about chasing what was lost, it's about building something new. Clara understood now that love doesn't disappear with time, it simply waits for us to reach for it again. Love is a choice, Grandma Amalia said, not a memory. The couples who stay in love are the ones who keep choosing each other day after day, year after year. Clara felt a wave of understanding rush over her. She had come seeking advice, but what she had found was a truth so simple, yet so powerful. Love doesn't fade. It just needs to be nurtured. Now, I want to hear from you. What's the one thing that stood out to you the most? Have you ever felt like love was slipping away, only to realize it was still there, waiting for you to reach for it? Share your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. If this story resonated with you, hit the like button and subscribe for more powerful insights on love, relationships, and intimacy after 50. And remember, the love you seek is within your reach. It just takes a choice to embrace it again.